Qarabag 2, Chelsea 2, and I will say this, an exhilarating and amazing game of football we were just served up in the early Champions League kickoff here. Chelsea controlling the early parts of the game, Qarabag getting back into it. Some really poor defending from young Hato, which we'll talk about, but Alejandro Garnacho with a banger to win Chelsea a point in this game. It was a thriller. It goes to show there are very rarely easy games away from home in the Champions League. And when you do win and win well, it's because you were very good indeed. We're going to take your calls. We're going to listen to your views. I want to read your comments as well on this game. But please make sure you are liking, subscribing, and all of that jazz. This comment here from Baz says, Qarabag are serious. No, they were. Qarabag were serious tonight, and I don't think nobody can deny that. They were very, very good tonight. They were they made it very difficult indeed for Chelsea. Very, very difficult indeed for Chelsea to play at times in this match. But look, we're going to get your thoughts, going to get your opinions on this. Look forward to hearing what it is that you guys have got to say. Who there for Qarabag and how did Chelsea draw with them? Well, it shows you haven't watched much of the Champions League this year. They beat Benfica in their last game. They have 7 points in their opening 4 games. They're only a couple of places below Chelsea in the league. Qarabag have added some real speed and power into their team. Their counter-attack is devastating. And if you read about them before the match, you would have known that, again, with the traveling and everything else involved, Chelsea didn't actually arrive until 1 p.m. last night. This was not likely to be an absolute walk in the park because they've gone up a level. Last year, Qarabag were whipping boys in the Europa League, but they've gone up a level this season in European football. And we saw that tonight with their performance against Chelsea. But let's go through the game. Let's break it down, and then we're going to jump into your comments as well. And I think Chelsea fans will be disappointed with tonight. I think Chelsea fans will have this sense of, yes, Qarabag is a hard game away from home this season in the Champions League, but they started so well. They controlled the vast majority of the ball. The momentum was certainly with Chelsea in this game in those early stages, all with Chelsea. Qarabag had a couple of counter-attacks that kind of fizzled out, but it was all Chelsea, all of the ball, all of the play, all of the opportunities. They go 1-0 up, and I want to make sure we don't lose this. Estevao again with a wonderful touch, very quick shot into the bottom corner. That young man needs more starting berths in this Chelsea team. I want to see him play more in the Champions League. He's a very exciting player. He's the kind of individual that puts you upon the edge of your seat. And dare I say, I think Don would say he's the kind of player that people would pay to go and watch. And I agree with that. He is. And Chelsea looked so solid. Chelsea looked solid. Chelsea looked controlled. And it felt as though after that first goal, they would go on and they would score another. They would go on, continue dominating the game, dominating the ball, score another goal and kill the match off. I think a lot of rivals would have turned off at that point, stopped watching. I think a lot of rivals would have said it's over. But then Chelsea messed up. It was a mistake. And people can blame the manager, they can blame the system, they can blame whatever they want. But this was a Chelsea mistake. And young Hato at the back, look, a 19-year-old centre-back, highly talented. There's a real player in there. I think everybody knows it. But he kind of got caught. Sometimes what young defenders do, young players will do this, but when you're a defender, when you're a goalkeeper, excuse me, I've got hair in my mouth. Sometimes when you're a goalkeeper, when you're a defender, when you make this mistake, which is quite common for young players, it can be catastrophic for a game. And instead of being aware of the danger that he was in and just clearing his lines, sometimes there is this want for younger players to show how good they are. And I feel that was in his head a little bit there. And Sorry about that, people. I think I need a new computer. My computer keeps crashing. Apologies there. And no, it's not the internet. It's the computer. So he makes a mistake, gets caught on the ball. And there was still a lot for Qarabag to do from that point. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly familiar with their players' names, but I think it was Duran that run through. Excellent skill. I actually think the worst defending in that was Tosin. He got absolutely sold by Duran, whose shot hits the post. And then Andrada was there for the follow-up, and there was actually a little bit of fortune because the ball nearly hits Reece James's arm. If that would have hit Reece James's arm with the UEFA rules on handballs, that would have definitely been a penalty and probably a red card because the ball was going in. So it goes straight in, and then Chelsea just had, for the rest of that first half, they lost their way. They couldn't control the ball, and this was the moment again where a little bit of adversity kicks in. The away crowd, from a Chelsea perspective, gets up, becomes noisy. And those young Chelsea players, those inexperienced Chelsea players struggled. You know, you look at their central midfield and you had Santos and obviously Lavia. Lavia had gone off at that point, but Caicedo come on. But you've got Santos who kind of lost his way a little bit. You've got Gittins on the pitch and George. You've got Hato that's made the mistake already. Yes, there was some experience out there in Cucurella. Yes, you had Sanchez out there. Yes, Reece James was out there. Yes, you had João Pedro out there. But João Pedro has only just moved into playing at this level of football as well. So he's got the age of experience, but not the game time at this level. Esteval got his goal, but again, young. And you just see them lose their way a little bit. 10 minutes later, they concede that penalty. And again, I'll call this out. I'll call it out. I hate the handball rule in UEFA. It's a disgraceful penalty to give because Hato's arm is in a natural position if you're running. How can you run without your arm? You can't run and have your arm not come outside your body silhouette. It's impossible. And it was the proximity of the cross. If you look at it in real time, he's just running. He doesn't mean to do it. He hasn't tried to make his body bigger, but we know it's the rules. We know it's the way that UEFA deems things to be. You know, UEFA always gives them as handballs. It's absolutely ridiculous. Penalty was well put away. And then it was about, could Chelsea show some character? Could Chelsea show some character? Could Chelsea demonstrate why they're a top team? And they made 3 substitutions at half-time, and Delap came on, Garnacho came on, and somebody else came on at half-time. And I now forget who. Fernandez. So they brought their more experienced players on because they were struggling at that point. And I thought what was interesting is Qarabag came out and really went for it. And I think that was their biggest mistake. And we've seen this a number of times in the last week, namely Bournemouth away at Man City, decided to attack and be open and ended up coming a cropper. And then what Chelsea did, they waited, they absorbed that pressure. There was another mistake from Tosin where Duran could have gone clean through on goal. He didn't quite have the pace for it, and Chelsea got away with it. But then they went straight down the other end, and excellent play by Garnacho. He tries the ball with the outside of his foot, doesn't quite come off, but he follows that up, gets onto the ball, creates half a yard, and hits a banger into the bottom corner to score again for Chelsea, brings it back to 2-2. And then for the rest of the game, barring a last-minute moment of madness where Qarabag could have scored the winner if there was more connection on the ball, and then they went straight down the other end, Chelsea, and nearly put the ball away. Chelsea were then so dominant in that second half, and I do think that's where another area of disappointment will come in for Chelsea tonight, that they couldn't get that winner in that second half where they had so much of the ball, they had so much of the territory. But what I would say is outside of the Garnacho goal, they didn't really create much else. In fact, the whole game, Chelsea didn't create one singular big chance in the match. And I think that's really, really key. And I think it's really important to talk about. Not one big chance in the game was created. Only 10 shots. Sorry, in the second half, 10 shots on goal. Only 3 of them on target. And that is an area. And that was with the lap coming onto the pitch. João Pedro there. Esteval. Garnacho gets his goal. But more in the attack is going to be needed. This season. And I think in the last week or so, we've seen, and tonight was almost like a sort of an accumulation of Chelsea's entire season, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Some brilliant moments in the attack, some great displays in midfield at certain times, but then some bozo moments at the back, and then not quite enough clinical edge when it truly, truly matters at the other end. And look, Chelsea are still a big work in progress. There's no doubt about it. But I think they'll have some elements tonight to feel good about. I think there'll be other elements tonight where there'll be some frustration amongst Chelsea supporters. But as ever, look, I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your opinions on this in our comment section below. It's not the longest. It's not the longest. How did they get my phone number? Anyway, no, sorry. I'm throwing a party and I went onto a website to look for some decorators. I didn't realize to put my number on there. And on my WhatsApp, there's all these people messaging me. I'm like, how the fuck did I get my number? I must have given them my number because I did go on the website. Sorry. It's one of them there. Let's go to some of your comments that have come through on the show. Apparently, Lavia and Caicedo are better than Rice, but they can't beat Qarabag. Unbelievable. Look, Lavia isn't. I'll be honest with you. Lavia is not better than Ugarte because of his availability. Because of his lack of availability and his consistent injuries, Lavia is better than. There's barely any midfielder he's better than because he can't play. And if you can't play, you're as much use as I am. You're as much use as a waterproof tea bag. He's such a talented player, but that body is made of biscuits. And Chelsea have to assess that. They really do. On Caicedo, look, Caicedo is one man. And there is no one-man team in football. They don't exist. And as soon as better quality was brought onto the pitch around him, you saw him shine. I'm sure if Declan Rice was out there tonight in that first half, just with like Santos next to me, by the way, he's a good player, but I still don't think he's as ready as some Chelsea fans have made out. I think he'd struggle as well. But that being said, it's not for me about the individuals. It's more about the collective. And listen, I think this season has shown us thus far that there is a difference, there is a gap between Chelsea and Arsenal. Just to respond to that comment that come in there. Qarabag has the same squad value as a League Two club. Yeah, but it's better than a League Two club. They are better than a League Two club, in my opinion. They might have the same value, but I was looking at some of their players today. I don't know how old they all are. I don't know much about any of them, but there looks to be a few gems out there. There looks to be a few gems who, and a lot of these players will be looking at this from this perspective, and maybe Qarabag do as well. That they can really impress some of these individuals. There'll be some good size to big European teams that may want to get involved and may want to buy them. Terry, how can you say that Ugarte is better than Lavia? Well, you didn't listen to what I said if you're getting angry about that. And I'm not suggesting on ability, technical ability, or anything along those lines. But if he isn't fit to play, if he barely kicks a ball, he isn't as good. Availability is the best ability. And Lavia, listen, we all know what a talent he is. I would have loved him from an ability perspective. I'd have loved him at Man United. But I'll be honest with you, I was gutted when Chelsea got him. I'm so glad we didn't put the money in him. Because for you guys, it isn't the end of the world because you bought Enzo and you bought Caicedo, you have Santos, you bought so many midfielders. For Man United, that would have been it for us. We'd have bought him. He'd have been the only midfield purchase. And he'd have been out injured for the majority of the last 2 years. Don, what did I say, Terry? I told you it would be a win, draw, lose. Terry, you're being a kind Rangers fan, and I would be annoyed if I got beat by them, and we're shocking at the moment. No, I don't necessarily think I'm being kind. I look at it this way. I think that I think sometimes we have a propensity to disrespect other European teams. I think we have this propensity to just to say that the English club should win. The English clubs should beat everybody that they play against. Most of Europe's crap. We're better than everybody else. And we see this sometimes when an English team goes away from home and gets a 2 or 3-0 victory and everyone goes, well, they should. It's not as simple as that. It isn't as simple as that. You're going to hostile territory. You're traveling for miles. You're going up against teams that you don't have the same in-depth knowledge of or scouting of. And there's a lot of good teams out there. There are a lot of good teams. It isn't hard. Now, by the way, I've criticized large parts of Chelsea tonight. I think that I didn't touch on this, and this is what I will say, to be fair as well. I do think Maresca, I know you've got to rotate, but I wish you see with Arsenal, they've invariably kept Gabriel and Saliba playing when they can. They've kept their main goalkeeper in when they can. I think Chelsea have got to start playing with more frequency the majority of their backline with a small amount of changes in it. especially in this stage of the Champions League, having lost their first game. I think Chelsea's next match is Barcelona, and you're aiming for that top 8, and they're not in the top 8 yet. And after, who knows what's going to happen after tonight's games? They might find themselves somewhere in there. I think they're about 10th. There is the potential for them to drop down 4 or 5 more places. Then they play Barcelona, I believe. You don't want to you don't want the extra game. You don't want the playoff game from Chelsea. So I think he's got to maybe be a bit more respectful to some of these teams away in Europe. I heard from Don that Lavia is better than Rice, is what Emmanuel says here. Slavia Prague has the same squad value as Norwich and Birmingham, and we pasted them yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the squad value element there, Terry Tibbs. I think if you put that Prague team in the Championship, they'd do pretty well. I don't think there aren't many of the Champions League teams that would go into the Championship and be absolute whipping boys. There's not many of them that would do that. How's a point a win? No one said a point's a win. I said Garnacho banger wins Chelsea a point. Should I change it for you to gets Chelsea a point? I know what we'll do. We'll saves. We'll change it for you. Saves Chelsea. We'll just change it for you. Will that make you feel better? If we just say saves Chelsea. Are you okay with that? There we go. I'll change it for you, my old mate. There you go. Although a draw is funny, the commentator mentioned a 4-hour time difference as well. Even though they might have prepped for that, I think it does make a difference. I think all these things make a difference. I'm not even sure. I don't know what the temperature was, but there are sometimes you can go to away games where it's ridiculously. I remember United going away once, and a lot of our players wearing gloves and underbody suits and like tights, the sort of tights bit wet, and it got a bit of stick in the media. This was many years ago now. And I was watching MUTV, and one of the players said, no, this was like -30 when we were playing. Sometimes you go away and you're playing on an artificial pitch. Sometimes it's the timing. Like Chelsea didn't arrive last night because of the facilities out there until 1 a.m. at night. And then they've got to change their body clocks for one game. There's all these little things, which is why away European games are hard. They are hard. They are difficult. And I'm not going to go in so much in them tonight. I don't feel like it's necessary. Rice shone with Norgard. Why can't Caicedo do the same? Well, because Norgard's a far more experienced player than Santos. They played very well in the beginning. But what happens with young players, foolish snippets, is that it's when they face the problems come for youngsters, in my opinion, when adversity hits. When the adversity hits, that's when the issues come in. Now with Norgard, how long has he been playing international football? Come on, I think there's a fundamental difference there, my friend. I think there's a fundamental difference. The players in elevation, is this at elevation? Is it really? Well, again, I didn't know that. If that's true, again, that's another factor. This isn't. I just don't think this is as simple as people are making. I'm not saying Chelsea fans should just say it's fine, but equally, if there's all these different factors, come on now. Terry, there are no excuses for Caicedo. If you don't think I'm not giving you excuses, I'm giving you reasons. I'm equally not sitting here saying he was amazing, and I also don't put him ahead of Declan Rice in the conversation. So I'm not making excuses. I love it. Look, excuses. Football fans, I love you guys, man. I'm going to bring Andrew Barnes on with me for the rest of the show. I know the other games have begun. Let me just bring him on with me now. How are you, mate?
I'm good, Terry. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, I can hear you now, bro. You good?
I'm good, Terry. How are you?
I'm all right. What did you make of Chelsea tonight, my friend? Because you're getting a lot of stick in the comment section. A lot of people not happy with how you played, etc. But what did you make of it yourself?
So honestly, for me, I think that this team, I think Andrew has said it before, and we've kept saying it like a broken record. I think this team is super young and they're super inconsistent, and I think we keep seeing that again and again. And it's just because I don't know, we have the ability, we've seen it. I think that I don't know, fair enough. We spoke about all the the natural factors of elevation, of temperature, of body clock, like 4 hours, whatever the difference is, all of that just for one day. I get all of that, but it's also up to the manager to say, hey, because he said it in his pre-match press conference. He said that this is a good game for us to win, because then we would have won 3 in a row, and it takes us, like closer to the top of the table. And so he knew that it was important. And then, like, the team that he kind of picks, I don't think it was the strong enough team. I don't know why you don't I understand that Dilap was, what do you say, he did that like red card thing, and which was not cool at all. But then if you need to win, and you sort of reprimand the guy behind closed doors, you do whatever you need to, like you fine him, you like discipline him behind closed doors. But if the team needs this player, we don't have enough of people on the pitch, then you play him. Because like I said, I like Tariq George, I like that he's an academy boy. But the problem is that he doesn't have that killer instinct. He doesn't
Mm.
seem like I won't be afraid if I'm an opposition player, irrespective of what club I am. I'm not going to be afraid if I see Tariq George. But as soon as Dilap came on the pitch, like things changed. Like the thing is, he was holding up the ball. He was causing problems because he's a natural number 9. He moves like that. You can see it. So I think that was an issue. He always picks. I know, like Tosin, I saw it in your rating in the side here, that Tosin got a better thing, but like some of the decisions he makes seem so, like, again, like he seems like an amateur rather than, like, like the senior player in that team. And Hato just had a bad game. He's like 19 years old. He, like, we can sort of like excuse him in that sense, that, like,
Mm.
maybe the occasion got to him. I think overall it was an inconsistent thing. I'm not going to be here and say, okay, I'm happy with 2-2 draw.
Well, no, I hear you. Look, Joe Cole said something that I totally agree with at halftime, and Joe Cole said he wants the manager to keep him on because it's a test of the young man's character. And what I would say with Hato, I didn't. It didn't affect him in the second half. He played well, and I think sometimes there is and I get it. There's sometimes a propensity, a proclivity to go, right, he's had a bad moment, let's take someone off the pitch. Sometimes you need to let people work through these moments, and he'll grow. By the way, I don't think the penalty, I don't blame him for that at all. It's the ridiculous rule. He was just running. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was that he made that one mistake in the game. I actually thought Tosin played worse in the overall game.
I agree.
But,
I agree with you. No, I agree with you. And that's why I don't think they should have taken off Hato. I fully agree with Jokol. I agree with what you're saying. And that's why I like to give more chances to the youngsters. Because if Achampong was on the pitch, I would rather have him than Tosin, because these guys are fast, they're young, they will make mistakes. And I'm okay if my young like defense line conceded 2 goals, but we drew, and I will be more okay with that, because I know, okay, we don't have enough of experience, but these boys will learn, and eventually they will become good because they're racking up experience as they play. But like I am not happy with the result. Obviously, like, I really thought we could have come away with it. Garnacho had those, like, the moment he did like a bicycle kick that could have like been scored at the end. And I said this last time I came on, like, Garnacho is a guy for moments. He might not be all the time doing good things, but as soon as he gets an opportunity, because his pass before his goal was really shit, and then he got a rebound off of that bad pass, and then he put it in. And I think that we missed our moments. We should have been clinical. Enzo Fernandez had like a couple of chances like right towards the end where he could have like buried it, but again, like, we were trying to be too clinical. And that I criticized the manager a bit, because for a guy who tries to say that he wants this team to have control of the game, if you watch most of our games, it's kind of chaotic, especially after we concede. It's kind of chaotic because these guys are young. Eventually they're going to like break, and unless you have somebody like Palmer on the pitch who says, hey, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and I'm going to make something happen, it's difficult for that to happen.
I hear you on that. And what do you make of it Winter Surfer? I'm going to call you. Not going to call you Andrew. I'm not going to call you Andrew tonight because it's easier to call you Winter Surfer when there's when there's two of you on. But it was a weird game. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of stick for it. I'm already seeing it in the group chats. Why'd you get beat by a carrier bag? Why'd you drop points to an airbag? What do you think went wrong for you tonight? Because you started very well and dominated the game, and you even dominated the majority of the second half. But why do you think you just couldn't kill the game off?
Consistently inconsistent. I said it on Saturday, didn't I? I said we'd have a tougher game tonight than against Spurs. I said we'd have a tougher game. I don't know what it is. I also think it's some of them just don't get up for the games like this or something like that. We saw it against Wolves last week. It's just frustrating. I'm angry, but I'm not surprised, and that's the sad thing. about it. It was but like you say, but then again, when you have a young team, hello.
Sorry, very quickly. Club Brugge have just gone 1-0 up against Barcelona.
Oh wow, okay,
yeah.
Cool. But when you do have a young team, Terry, and one of your senior pros is tossing. I mean, what help do you got? This guy, I'd say his height's wasted on him, Terry. I swear he should be a short guy. This guy, honestly, he's got the strength of a paperclip, man. I swear, he is just, and he's supposed to be out there guiding, helping Hato. Do you know what I mean? He's supposed to be able to be a calming influence and stuff like that. But it just wasn't good enough all around. You know, the decision making, when to shoot, when to pass in the first half with the wingers like Gittins and stuff like that. It's just not good enough. And that would be the story of this season, where we will go on runs of 2 or 3 wins, and then we'll have performance like this, lose again, and it's just the inconsistency of it, and it's just. I know.
Sorry, just another quick update. I've been told it's 1-1 in the Barca game now.
That was quick.
But it's just frustrating, and I think that's what Chelsea fans have to realise. It's going to be like that this season. There are going to be so many frustrating games. It's just that tonight would have been get the win no matter what, right? Whether we won 3-2 or not, the performance, get the win. You then go into the Barcelona game on 9 points. You know what I mean? Yeah. Really only need like one more, probably 4 more points just to even get into the playoffs and stuff like that. Because I'm not focused really on the top 8. I just make it into the playoffs will be fine. Do you know what I mean?
No, but Terry, if this is it, because I think most of the time when I come on here, I say that, okay, Arsenal must this season, but next season Chelsea must, and we have to challenge and all of that. But with a backline like this, it's going to be so difficult to do anything consistently. And if these owners or the sporting directors don't get an experienced center back, we need somebody at the back, because Sanchez is not the guy. Okay, at the back who's going to be commanding, definitely not. We need a center back that was like a Thiago Silva. Yes, he was physically not going to be all over the pitch. He had great positional play, but he was a leader. He would speak to the young guys, and he would always drive them towards the end. And we were winning games even where it seemed like we were not in the game anymore, because we had somebody like that at the back. And we really need that to be able to challenge, to be able to do anything of consistency and of just of some sort of substance. Because some games we look really good, where like you said, these guys just wake up and they want to show up. If it's a Spurs or a Liverpool, because the ask is more.
Well, these guys will show up against Barcelona.
Yeah, for sure.
Up against Barcelona.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When there's a bigger team.
They're like what? When Fergie, that documentary, Terry, your treble-winning season, when the Fergie called out Liverpool, he called them big-time Charlies.
Yeah,
like that. That's what some of these players are. I think they're at the moment they've got the mindset of. We saw it it against Spurs. Up for it, big game today. All right, people are going to it's the time, or they're above sea level or whatever. I couldn't care less. Do you know what I mean? It was just you cannot.
Well, sometimes you get this. No, brother, I hear you. Sometimes you get this with teams, and sometimes it's part of the cycle. Sometimes it's an issue. Sometimes it needs to be removed. And Man United have done this a lot in recent times, where I feel we sort of will have games where you're like, oh, look really, really good. We'll go away and play well at City or away at Liverpool, and then you'll play Burnley at home and you look like absolute crap. Yep. It's massively frustrating. What a goal by Dan Burn. What a header. That just was. Ryan, what are you here to say, bro?
Look, I have no issue with both Andrews, Wintersurfer and Andrew Barnes. It's mainly the people that keep telling me that they've got the best DM in the league. They've got, I've heard recently Romeo Lavia is better than Declan Rice, which I think Chelsea fans in general just need to stop hyping up Romeo Lavia at this point, because he can't see the pitch for 5 games minimum. If you're gonna have that quality, what's the point of you not being on the pitch, man? Availability is the best ability. Has he even played a minimum of 5 games in a row, or has he just been injured?
He started the last 4 and 6.
Right,
he's actually on a bit of a run.
And how many?
Bless him.
And how many seasons has it been? Look, I think he's
third. This will be the 3rd season.
A 3rd season. Like, I don't
This
doubt
goes-
he's a talented player.
This
but
injury stuff goes back to the Southampton thing as well. It's not, but with us, it's just like it gets highlighted more. But,
no, but
you're right. It's not the point. The issue is it's like I don't even know how it really happened today. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like an impact, like a really hard tackle or anything like that. And
It
he
was
walked
just a
off.
sprint.
He didn't. He
I
wasn't limping when he walked off. But that's the problem now. He'll probably be out for like a few weeks now.
Yeah, he
but
doesn't,
Andrew,
he doesn't recover.
what
He doesn't
scary is-
recover quickly. He doesn't recover
No,
quickly
no,
either.
he
He's
doesn't.
it's always long.
Yeah,
I
but
don't-
also
That's
like,
'cause
when
he's
the
injured all the time. He
medical
can't
stuff
recover.
came on the pitch and they touched his leg, he twitched. Like for me, that was weird. Like that means something's happened inside because as soon as they touched his leg, like he proper twitched. And I think that that he did some damage to his muscle for sure.
And I feel I was going to say, Terry, I feel like a lot of fans do this. I'm not saying even some of my own fan base do this. A lot of the fan base say technically he's a better footballer than this guy as a way out of just saying that I believe he's a better footballer than this person. And look, at the end of the day, Lavia hasn't shown it at the highest level that he can do it with the big teams compared to someone like Declan Rice has been doing it for the last 3 seasons. So when I hear people compare him to other players,
Listen, just say his name. Just say his name. Just say.
No, he
people.
knows
Just
where
say his
he
name.
knows who he
It's
is, bro.
Don,
He
right?
knows
We
who
know
he
You
is.
talking about Don? Are you talking about Don here?
Just say Don.
No, because the chat is also calling him out.
Say Don. Don't say people. Just say Don. We don't.
No, but it's not only just Don. It's not. I think people need to understand. It's not only just Don. I wouldn't say it's a majority, but it's a small group of Chelsea fans that are very, very loud and like to talk about their own players and hype them up to an extraordinary level.
In our group chat, it's 2. It's Don and it's Ches. Just say it.
No,
Just say it.
no.
Don and
So-
Ches.
But what I also have on very good authority is Ches inside the Chelsea group chats is far more conservative. He literally says it all. It's all bravado. It's all front with Ches. Ches doesn't actually rate Chelsea, Maresca, or his squad.
Do you know what his favourite letters are?
That much.
Oh.
Go on.
Do you know what his
Go on.
favourite letters are? PTSD. That's what he says all the time.
Literally. But I think at the end of the day, in isolation, right? I'm not gonna take a lot from this Qarabag game because let's be honest, like when we won our Champions League, we lost to Red Star Belgrade. It was a freak result. It was a very hostile atmosphere, and it was the same as well. Qarabag played really well. Qarabag played really well. The atmosphere in Azerbaijan was mad. Like you could see the whole stadium was full of army officers because of how raucous it was.
Well,
So,
but I'll be honest with you. I want to thank both Chelsea and Qarabag. It was a very entertaining game of football.
Exactly,
There was end to end. I mean, right at the end
great.
when they nearly scored,
great.
you went straight down the other end and nearly scored. I like that, and what I've loved about this new group phase, the league phase of the Champions League. Do you know that this Champions League does say to me though? I do watch it and go, oh, fucking hell, the Super League might have banged, you know. It does make me think the Super League might have banged because it's just everybody. It seems most games, it seems almost like every match, both teams just try to win, and it's brilliant. It's absolute because you also know you can lose 2 or 3. It reminds me of the UFC. You could lose 3 or 4 games on the bounce. As long as your fights are entertaining, as long as you're giving it a go, they keep you on, and you can still become a world champion. You don't need to like win every match to get to the knockout phases. And once you get to the knockout phases, of course, you've got to win, right? But I love the league phase because people they go for it. And I think some of the players at some of the smaller clubs, I think they use it as a showcase. Look at me. Do you want to come buy me? I've liked the whole thing. So the only thing I don't like is that there's too many games on at once, and I don't get to. There's so many games I want to watch the whole 90 minutes of, and you just can't. That's the only bit that's
I thought
frustrating.
they were going to spread it out. I thought they were going to spread it out to like Thursday, like they did the opening night when the opening week they spread it out to.
but then Europa
Thursday,
comes
well.
into play. When do they play?
That, man.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, you can't say that. We played Europa and we
I
played
didn't care
Conference
about
League.
it to the final. I didn't care about it.
No,
This here says the sooner Tosin is sold, the better. Can't call it a scapegoat when you can't climb the smallest mountains to save your form. Lavia might have to retire. I hear that. And Qarabag come with bin bags in and come sorry,
Came with
bin bag.
bags and left with Chelsea in it. There we go. I got there in the end. Look, I want to thank everyone who tuned into the show so far. We are live later tonight after Newcastle and Man City play their games as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you all then. Please like the stream, subscribe. This is going to redirect you. I think Hassam is live, so it's going to send you over to Hassam to go watch his watch along, people. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless, and we'll see you soon. Peace.